So as you guys surely know by now, it's not just the quality of a game that sells it. Sometimes it's just the eye candy. The risqué material, you guys know what we're talking about, that gets the game out there and makes it a little bit more popular than it sometimes kind of deserves to be. Yeah, in other cases, some fan service just won't hurt the success of the best games. In fact, it might even, help them. Even if players find this appeal kind of odd, it's definitely undeniable that images of beautiful women usually help games find a larger audience. That's kind of just how it works with video games and movies and everything. This is our first volume of a new series that sees how some games try to use fan service to help themselves, please players, and ultimately become successful. Mind you, not all of them actually need the extra help, and we can't stress that enough. Let's begin with our first 10 games in no particular order.
FreeMMOStation.com.
Now guys, let's be honest here, Blade & Soul isn't popular because it's some revolutionary MMO for gaming or something of this sort really. What makes it stand out from other martial arts MMORPG above all is the unique art style, created by Korean artist Hyung-tae Kim, slightly exaggerating the human body, but putting the emphasis in all the good parts in a way that looks like a fantastic mix between reality and anime. Blade & Soul is as much a game as it is a music video maker. You just have to be talented and make some truly stunning pieces, as our editor RenderMax has already proven quite a few times. Sure, it's still an enjoyable action MMORPG that's finally coming to North America and Europe late 2015, after a long period of Duke Nukem Forever syndrome, but many players want to try it mostly because of how it looks. Now we can make a real-life analogy here, but we won't. Scarlet Blade could actually be described as completely fan service the game, maybe. There's really no denying it. This is an MMORPG that goes all the way, trying to capture the audience of teenagers that pay more attention to sexy anime girls than to the actual game proper. It launched with a full cast of barely dressed and voluptuous female characters, and only many months later added the first male class, as if to lessen the embarrassment of such a fan service focused game. No matter what, Scarlet Blade certainly isn't known for its innovative gameplay mechanics or its in-depth storyline. It exists pretty much purely to titillate younger players, in the same way that, hey, some animes do. And even before Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft was just a distant speck in Blizzard's plan to conquer the world, and also before the unexpected boom of online collectible card games, Sword Girls was already out there. Now, this game was released in 2011, and it currently has over 2,500 cards, released or not, all beautiful drawings of girls in manga style. We have to say that the most of the cards are drawn in very good taste, and what there is of sexy cards is actually just, pretty decent, far from a lot of the stuff you've probably already seen before in manga. The game itself is decent enough, as simple as they come, so don't expect too much. It was actually shut down a while ago, but has been revived by a group of fans. Onigiri is a decent action MMORPG, and while you can create some interesting female characters, the developers made it more prominent than it actually is with the promo material for the game. The revealing artwork was only beaten by the overly sexual trailers, which included boob-sized jokes and suitably placed towels. Now, we're willing to let it slide though, since the game turned out to actually be kind of fun, and deserving of some of the attention. Bet you guys weren't expecting to see SMITE on the list, right? This is an acclaimed third-person MOBA machine. It's been oiled up to the tiniest details. Developer Hi-Rez Studios really loves to have a lot of fun with alternate god skins, and it shows, and we know. There are, for the most part, pretty goofy and lighthearted, but from time to time, we see a character card that puts the best assets of some of these goddesses out to show for everyone. For example, Neith joins in the fun of the Brazilian carnival, and Aphrodite turns into a beach babe. Nuwa is also a clear fan favorite. But we can't even blame the studio for being unfair, since they even thought of the female crowd with skins such as Huncules Hercules.
Oh yeah.
Now, since it was first announced, the poster girl for Peria Chronicles was this blonde girl wearing a short blue and white dress, pretty much a sexy anime version of Alice in Wonderland. The artist definitely nailed it with this character, using her as the face of the ambitious game, having her introduce the tools and features of the game in subsequent trailers. And no matter what her role is in the final version of the game, she's already instantly recognizable by thousands of players and the potential target for cosplay. The character creation in Peria Chronicles seems deep enough to make similar characters, and some players are already mentioning the potential for some adult-oriented content, something that developer ThinkSoft is very aware of. It would actually be a shame to diminish the game to just a sexy anime girl simulator tool, since with all the sandbox possibilities and the Pokemon-inspired collect and fight mechanics, it could turn out to actually be a massive hit. Now, for the second time, Soulworker has disappeared off the face of the earth for a year or so and counting. It looks like they're releasing a trailer for this game jinxes it, really, and then we fall into this complete silence for many months. And then there's a lot of crying for players who fell in love with the anime art style of this game, the third-person fighting mechanics, and of course, the Pansuru shots, especially the Pansuru shots. A strategically placed camera along with the way female characters lean to the front when they run to provide the thrills of many teenage players are seeking. We're pretty sure it wasn't a coincidence either. It was well thought out and all the little tiny details to capture the attention of the unsuspecting player base, and it's clearly working to perfection. Now, if only Lion Games would just finish the damn game. Yeah, I know, we are completely losing it. You're probably thinking right now. How could this old school, tiny character spiritual successor to Ragnarok Online have any sort of fan service? Well, it's not the game itself or the cute characters, but it's really the sexy artwork for the game. Created by art director Magi, most images look great, hands down, like they were taken from an old Fable book, featuring a very particular coloring style and, of course, an abundance of sexy female characters. Does Tree of Savior really need all this cleavage popping up when you're talking to NPCs? Most likely not. Does it hurt the game? Hell no. This is great art, and it really deserves hopefully, a great game like this to go along. League of Angels is a clear case of putting the artworks to great use in a game that looks and feels like hundreds of others. The promotional images featuring the sexy angels were splattered all over the place, and their undeniable charm led many players to give in and try the game. With the Angels artwork still popping up in-game in an admittedly a less charming faction, but still effective, thousands or more, likely millions of players, ultimately fell for it. Now, how long they decided to stick to the game is a completely different affair, as League of Angels isn't exactly the most impressive free-to-play game out there, so to speak, and its concept is clearly designed to capture the maximum amount of whales, or players who spend large amounts of cash in free-to-play games. Now, Black Desert is far from being a game with just blatant dose of fan service, and in fact, it's one that does it in style, with good taste, and besides, a short skirt for the female ranger and the unreal beauty of the playable female characters, there was really not too much that we can really mention, but, and there's always a but, yeah. When you fiddle a bit with the character creation, you'll get to see that Pearl Abyss left you all the tools to make the characters look more in tune with what we usually see from Korean developers. It is, however, fully optional, and while it's still there to please a certain crowd, it's not unashamed, and therefore deserves a big thumbs up from us. Also, Black Desert offers one of the most in-depth character creation systems ever seen in an MMORPG, so it's really up to you to choose what you do with so many options. So that's it, Volume 1 is done, so if you enjoyed this, we'll get to work on Volume number 2 right away. And as always, you can leave your suggestions in the comments below. We already have plenty of games lined up, but we're always interested in hearing from you.
Still not sick and tired of all the MOBAs yet? Good for you, because the developers of Heroes of Newerth has just announced another one, Strike. This is another free-to-play MOBA, and the studio expects the two games to compete between